Dak Prescott, compound ankle fracture. In 2020, Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott suffered one of the most visibly gruesome injuries in recent NFL memory. Midway through a game against the Giants, Prescott scrambled out of the pocket and was brought down really awkwardly. As he rolled over, cameras caught his foot bent at a horrifying 90-degree angle, completely detached from its natural position. The official diagnosis was a compound fracture and dislocation of his right ankle, meaning the bone had not only broken but pierced through the skin. The stadium fell into silence as Dak, in tears, was carted off. The injury ended his season and cast doubt on his future, but perhaps even more painful was the context. He was playing on a franchise tag, betting on himself for a long-term deal. The moment became one of the most emotionally jarring scenes in modern football. Ryan Shazier, spinal contusion. During a Monday Night Football clash in 2017, Steelers linebacker Ryan Shazier lowered his head to make a tackle, a routine play he'd done 100 times. But this time, he didn't get up. Shazier lay motionless, clutching at his spine. Medical staff rushed in, and the scene grew eerily quiet. He had suffered a spinal contusion, and for a moment, it seemed like he might be paralyzed. Shazier underwent spinal stabilization surgery and months of physical therapy just to stand again. He would never play football again. But the pain wasn't just physical. It was the psychological devastation of losing his career in an instant. Yet his return to walking and later dancing at his own wedding made his story one of resilience in the face of unimaginable trauma. Bo Jackson, career-ending hip dislocation. Bo Jackson was more than a football player. He was a phenomenon. But during a 1991 playoff game, his invincibility shattered. On a routine tackle, his hip completely dislocated. But what made it career-ending was the internal damage. The injury cut off blood flow to his femoral head, leading to a vascular necrosis. Within months, his hip began to deteriorate from the inside, and Jackson, a rare two-sport athlete dominating both the NFL and MLB, had to retire from football entirely. Fans weren't just witnessing a bad injury. They were watching a once-in-a-generation athlete lose half his career path in one moment. He would later make a return to baseball, but the pain of what could have been in football remains legendary. Adrian Peterson, torn ACL and MCL. In the final game of the 2011 season, Adrian Peterson took a direct hit to his left knee that tore both his ACL and MCL. The replay showed his knee buckling inward unnaturally, and it instantly became a worst-case scenario. Most players would miss an entire year, and even then, few returned to full form. But Peterson somehow did the impossible. In less than 9 months, he returned to start week 1 of the next season, and not only that, he rushed for 2,097 yards, just 8 yards short of the all-time single-season record. The sheer willpower it took to recover from that pain and then play at an MVP level remains one of the most incredible comebacks in sports history. Ronnie Lott, self-amputated pinky. There's tough, and then there's Ronnie Lott. In 1985, he shattered the tip of his pinky finger during a tackle. Doctors gave him 2 options: undergo a surgery that would force him to miss time, or amputate the tip and keep playing. And Lott chose the latter. He literally told doctors to remove part of his finger so he wouldn't miss the playoffs. The physical pain of amputation was intense, but Lott later said the emotional pain of not playing would have been worse. It's a legendary story of commitment and one of the most insane examples of pain tolerance in NFL history. Nick Chubb, catastrophic knee dislocation. In 2025, Browns running back Nick Chubb suffered a catastrophic knee injury that was so graphic, ESPN refused to replay it. His knee was struck from the side and folded inward at a sickening angle. The injury included multiple torn ligaments, a dislocation, and structural damage that required extensive surgery. The scene was all too familiar for Chubb too, who had suffered a similar knee injury in college. The emotional toll was massive. One of the league's most respected and powerful runners, Chubb's season was over, and questions about his long-term viability surfaced. In an era where careers can be short, this injury served as a harsh reminder of how fragile greatness can be. Mike Utley, on-field paralysis. Mike Utley was an offensive guard for the Detroit Lions when tragedy struck. In a 1991 game, he dove to block and never got up. He had fractured his 6th and 7th cervical vertebrae, leaving him paralyzed from the chest down. As he was carted off, Utley famously flashed a thumbs up to the crowd, a defiant sign of hope amid the disaster. That image became iconic, but the truth was devastating. His injury ended his career and changed his life forever. Utley later founded the Mike Utley Foundation to support spinal cord research and turned his pain into purpose. But still, it's a tragic story nonetheless. Trevor Lawrence, whiplash. In 2024, Jaguars QB Trevor Lawrence took a blindside hit that sent a shockwave through the stadium. His neck snapped back violently and fell awkwardly, injuring his ankle on the way down and his neck. Diagnosed with a high ankle sprain and suffering from whiplash, Lawrence was visibly limping and had to be helped off the field. The sprain alone sidelined him for weeks, but what made the injury notable was how rapidly it derailed a promising season. Pain aside, it was a turning point that reminded everyone how quickly fortunes change in football. Junior Seau, compound forearm fracture. Junior Seau was the embodiment of toughness, but in 1998, that toughness was tested when he suffered a compound fracture of his forearm, the bone literally poking through the skin. Blood pooled as teammates and medical staff rushed in. Despite the severity, Seau would come back the next season. However, injuries like this added up, and later in life, Seau would suffer from severe mental health issues believed to be linked to repeated head trauma. The physical pain was immense, but the emotional scars ran even deeper. Michael Irvin, cervical spine injury. During a game in 1999, Cowboys receiver Michael Irvin was tackled and landed headfirst into the turf. He didn't move. He was stretchered off as fans watched in horror. The diagnosis? A cervical spine injury. Doctors told him that another hit could leave him paralyzed. Irvin was forced to retire, ending a Hall of Fame career not with a celebration, but with a silent ride off the field. The pain wasn't just in the neck. It was in saying goodbye to a game that had defined his life. Russell Wilson, mallet finger. It may sound minor, but Russell Wilson's mallet finger injury in 2021 was anything but. After his hand collided with the defender's helmet, his finger was visibly bent downward. He needed immediate surgery and missed multiple games, the first of his career. When he returned, he wasn't the same. The grip, touch, and precision that made him elite were all compromised. For a quarterback, even a finger can decide wins and losses, and the injury exposed just how delicate a career can be. Dante Culpepper, triple ligament knee blowout. In 2005, Vikings QB Dante Culpepper tore his ACL, MCL, and PCL, essentially every major stabilizing ligament in his knee. The leg buckled inward, and he collapsed in a heap. The injury completely derailed his career. Once considered a rising star, he was never the same. Multiple surgeries and failed comeback attempts followed, and Culpepper's injury is a reminder that sometimes pain doesn't just end seasons. It ends what could have been a Hall of Fame legacy. Tank Dell, compound knee injury. Rookie sensation Tank Dell suffered a devastating compound fracture in his knee during a 2024 game. The craziest part is the injury occurred on a routine route, so it was a freak accident. As he fell, defenders landed awkwardly on his leg, causing it to twist and break. The compound nature meant the bone broke through the skin, requiring emergency surgery. For a player just breaking out, their injury was a gut punch. The physical pain was matched only by the fear that his budding career might never be the same. Eric LeGrand, spinal paralysis. Rutgers player Eric LeGrand became a household name for all the wrong reasons in 2010. On a kickoff, he sprinted downfield and collided with the returner and immediately collapsed. Diagnosed with a fractured C3 and C4 vertebrae, he was paralyzed from the neck down. Doctors gave grim predictions, but LeGrand defied them, eventually regaining some movement and becoming a motivational speaker. Though not in the NFL, his story is part of the football world's harshest realities. Steve Young, career-ending concussion. Steve Young's final concussion came on a night when he was sacked and hit the turf helmet first. He lay there, dazed, his career flashing before his eyes. It was his 7th documented concussion, and doctors told him another could be fatal. Young chose retirement over risk, and he walked away with the Super Bowl ring and Hall of Fame stats. But the pain of leaving while still capable of elite play lingered long after the headaches faded. Aiden Hutchinson, fractured fibula. Before becoming a top NFL draft pick, Aiden Hutchinson broke his fibula in college. The injury came during a standard tackle attempt, but the twist and pressure snapped right through the bone. Surgery and months of rehab followed. And what made the pain worse wasn't just the injury, it was the timing. He missed out on a potential breakout season that could have boosted his draft stock. Even if he bounced back stronger, the road there was filled with pain, both physical and emotional. Leave a comment if you think we missed any heinous NFL injuries, and consider watching part 1 of this series if you enjoyed.